Got Your Back Podstream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com.
All right, you've all watched 2 hours of the Saturday Night Live special. You can shut her down for the final hour, right? Show always gets worse at the tail end. Check in with us. Let's talk some hockey for the next hour and a bit or so. Welcome to Got Yer Back. We are coming at you from the Four Nations. Well, not exactly. Stuck in Montreal. I'll give you that story in a couple of minutes. But we are on the road with Got Yer Back tonight. Jason Strudwick is standing by. Steve Taylor rolls in Kelowna. And yes, you see it in the title. We have an announcement to make, a Got Your Back announcement, but you're going to have to wait until Struddy's World for that. Connor McDavid, Team Canada, in action tomorrow, win in regulation, and they are in to the final. How about that game between Canada and the United States? I had a great seat for it. Can't wait to hear what the big guy Struddy has to say. As always, our show brought to you by our title sponsor, Play Alberta, where it's always game time. Bet on sports, find your new favorite slot, hit the tables, play on a virtual table with a live dealer, grab your lottery tickets, and do it all safely with responsible gambling tools that'll help keep you safe. Deposit today, get a $50 free bet with the code GYB02. Visit playalberta.ca. Coming at you from the mobile Adrenaline Diesel studio. Did you know they now have an online store for all your diesel truck parts needs? Check out adrenalinediesel.ca. All right, the big guy was on the road all weekend. Got home this evening just in time to rock and roll for the show. Struddy, where were you off to, and how did it go, my friend?
Yeah, good. My boys are playing hockey, so we had some games in Calgary. Then I drove home after my younger son's game this morning, drove straight to Devon and coached a game there. So it was a lot of hockey. And then you mix in trying to watch the ones that,
Yeah.
the big ones. I probably watched seven games this weekend, 8 games of hockey, everywhere from U13 to the greatest players in the world. So, yeah, quite a lot of hockey. I got a lot of hockey on my mind. This is the perfect time to unload on everyone.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about doing another hour and a half worth of content, buddy? The kids must have been buzzing about that. I mean, the kids
it was
that.
crazy. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows what happened, so I'm not killing it. But with starting with the fight, my younger son was just, he's like, "Is this really happening, Dad?" I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I know I love it.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was really something. I had a great seat up in the press box with our panel and with our TSN crew, and oh man, we'll get to that in just a minute. We are excited, Struds, not giving anything away here.
Yes.
We have a little Got Your Back announcement coming up a little later on in the show, my friend. A little something we've been working on, eh?
Yeah, we never sit still, that's for sure. I think we're all pretty excited about it. So can't wait to tell everybody what it's all about coming up shortly here.
Yeah. So stick with us. That's coming up a little bit later on in Struddy's World. Just laying out the show for you. Going to break down Canada's loss to the United States. Going to preview Canada's game against Finland, where if they get a regulation win, they will be in the final, and that'll be a rematch against the United States. We'll have brownie points, our big announcement in Struddy's World. Taking a lap, we're going to reserve for some Oiler talk tonight. So get your Oiler content ready to go. We'll get chatting about that a little bit later on. We'll have Ask Us Anything as well. Core Blue Liners and taking a trip. So lots of great content on the way. But of course, we have to start with that calamity last night. Let's get to our breakdown brought to you by the Alberta Ram dealers. The 4x4 winter event is here. Get up to $11,200 in total discounts on a 2024 Ram 1500 DT Bighorn at your Alberta Ram dealer. And make sure if you want to test drive it and see this beautiful set of wheels, go see your local Ram dealer today. Okay, Struddy, I have to say, man, I was thinking this is going to be a rough and tumble game. Like, I'm really looking forward to the physicality. And I thought about a lot of different things that might happen heading into that game. But I'll be honest, buddy, I, maybe like a lot of other people, forgot it's NHL rules out there. This is not your traditional double IHF tournament with your traditional double IHF rules. It's NHL schoolyard rules out there. So when the puck dropped and the mitts flipped to the ice right after that, my initial thought was, oh yeah, like they can do that here. And I was just blown away that was the way the game started.
Well, and yeah, I could not believe what I was seeing, and not in a bad way. I was thrilled. I think it was great. It cranked up the intensity. It's, people will be talking about that game for 1,000 years. But I thought was interesting, it was a very old school way. We drop the gloves, we separate. Guys are fixing their elbow pads, and everyone other than the last fight, the first two really squared off, and it was like you see kind of in junior, right, in 1995, or two guys maybe spin the helmet. So I think we got to thank the Tkachuks. I know that people have different opinions on them. I think they're unbelievably good for the game. They are so good for the game. The way that they bring the energy up, the attention they have, just it's brought to them. I think they're fantastic. And without those two guys, it's not happening. Because Team Canada doesn't really have those guys. The guys stood up and fought, but they don't have two brothers that would be, 2/3 of the Hansons out there.
I spent most of Matthew's fight watching Brady, and he was losing it, Struddy. I have brothers. I can understand this. Somebody was, scrapping with one of my brothers, it would be very hard to just stand there. And you could tell he was just like the linesman was having to hold him back. And immediately he was looking for a dance partner. He was hollering at guys, yelling at guys, looking for someone else to go. John Cooper, realizing the moment, throws Sam Bennett over the boards. And what was funny was that Bennett wasn't originally going to take the face-off. Someone else stepped in to take the face-off, and Brady was like, no, get the hell out of here. And then Bennett was like, yeah, I got this. And so it might have been, can't remember who it was, Sorelli or somebody originally went in to take the face-off, got shooed out of there, and then Bennett steps in. And what's interesting about that, Struds, like Brady Tkachuk spent a lot of time partying and celebrating a Stanley Cup for his brother with that group. I mean, he was out there. I saw him out there lots. Like he was in the mix, and he knows these guys. They're buddies. And Sam, I talked to Bennett after the game, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we hang out together in the summer all the time for sure." But that was, Brady Tkachuk is a tough customer. So is Sam Bennett, but that was a big bite for Bennett to take.
Brady's really big. I wouldn't say he's a great fighter, but he's a really big, strong guy. Mm-hmm. And so the Team Canada didn't have anyone similar in stature to take that on. But Sam Bennett's a junkyard dog. He gets in there. And all three fights, was there a combined 10 punches landed in 3 fights? Like, no one got dinged up. Yeah. They had their helmet and visor on. Like, no one's really getting hurt too much. These aren't killers, any of those 6 guys. But it sure brought the energy up in there. And I love that Bennett took the fight. I love that Hagel took the fight. And they were pretty calm. They're like, yeah, I'll do it. And I love Hagel. He's like, I'm not backing down from that guy. And I love that answer. Yeah. And, I think some people are trying to say, well, that got the momentum on the American side. And I would disagree with it, because I think all 3 Canadians stood up and they're like, yeah, we'll do it. And it's not about winning or losing a fight, about standing up and taking it. And yeah, the Tkachuks get all wild, but listen, I fought against a lot of guys that whether they won or lost, they went off like they just won the world championship belt. And I preferred to skate off like it was like, it was nothing. Like it was just something I did on the way to something else. All that yelling and stuff. And I don't really, when you're on the ice, I'm like, who cares? Like, really doesn't make a difference. And then Canada scored first. So, but all that being said, I think that this was a great thing for the game, an unbelievable thing, because that got a lot of play in the States. Those 3 fights, it's good to bring attention to the game. No one got hurt. And, the Tkachuks, love them or hate them, man. They're great for the game. I really appreciate what they did.
Yeah, I agree. And then you had JT Miller was yelling at Parayko on the ensuing faceoff. He wanted a piece of him right then and there. Yeah. And Parayko wasn't willing to do it right then and there. Like, he waited. The puck ended up in his own end, and Miller went flying into the crease, knew exactly what he was looking for, challenged Parayko, the local guy who hasn't, he's got one fight, I thought I read today. But obviously he's a big, strong guy and can take care of himself. That was a big bite for Miller to take as well, though he's the more experienced scrapper. And again, not a ton of punches thrown and such, but I do agree. Like, for anybody thinking that the United States in some way, shape, or form grabbed some advantage by doing that, I don't think so in any way, shape, or form. I think if you were a Canadian player, you were sitting on that bench feeling like, all right, they felt they needed to go there. Our guys answered the bell. Everybody hung in there. No serious winners or losers. You would be sitting there feeling like challenge met as a group, I would think, Struds.
Oh, for sure. And, like I like what the Americans did, specifically the Kachucks. But you just have to meet and take the fight. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
And you don't have to, make a lot of noise about it. And, that's, I think, the great thing about it. All three players on both sides either asked for or took the fights and did it. And I didn't know that about Parayko. I didn't realize Miller asked him. I think in that moment, it would have been wise for Parayko to accept the fight right off the draw and then kind of stand back and get a hold of that little man and just give him a thrashing, because Miller came in tight and that's what he wants to do. Now, again, Parayko, it's like him telling me how to fight. It doesn't make sense, but you gotta, I think, understanding the moment, you're like, yeah, I'll take the fight, and then just hold him off and then just give him a bit of a thrashing. But I think it's just so good for the game, and no one expected that. No one would expect that coming.
Yeah, I know what you're saying about the showboating that happened after, but I will say, and I don't doubt that you would have been chill. Like, Struds, the electricity in that building during those anthems and the intensity that was happening during that U.S. national anthem. And I'm not sure if you can tell on TV or not, but they had the U.S. players' faces up on the screen while that anthem was playing, right? Like they panned the U.S. players. The look on JT Miller's face, the look on Matthew Tkachuk's face, like those guys were so, I'm not going to put emotions into their head, but I mean, they've all said that they didn't like it. There was so much energy in that building during those anthems. It was so intense. And for it to start like that, I almost kind of didn't really blame either guy for letting loose like that, the way they did. Because inside that building, it was, I just can't even tell you how electric that building was. And those players amped up, adrenaline, scrapping for your nation and your flag. Like, that's next level scrapping, I would think. That's
their personality too, though. Like, let's just talk it. I mean, Brady Tkachuk, he runs around the ice all over the place, running guys for Ottawa. Like, he plays on edge, and so does his brother, Matt. So they're going to put that on. That's part of their persona. And some players would find that intimidating when you're out loud and you're running guys and I'm going to kill you, I'm going to do this and that, right? And that's their persona. So they're going to do it that way. And that's who they are. And that's a lot of what I like about them. Like, I think they're great for hockey. The NHL is not the same without those two guys in the game. But they have to do that because that's who they are. That's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. So I think it was even Steven after that. I mean, Canada had a power play, obviously, but in terms of energy level, momentum, all that kind of stuff, I think both sides did what they needed to do. They moved on, and then the game started, Struds. And, I really love the moment that was created there for Connor McDavid. Just a beautiful goal. But for Drew Doughty to have fired that pass at him, beautiful pass. And for that building to light up the way it did, have McDavid do kind of that signature celebration of his, that was a pretty sweet moment. And I thought it was fitting and good that it was Connor McDavid that lit that place up like that.
Well, we've talked about before, getting the puck to an elite player where and when he wants it. And that's what Doughty does. Oh, it's an easy pass. Yeah, it sure is when you know when and where to put the puck and the guy's going to get it there, right? And because Connor got it absolutely in stride and he just was able to, do what he does, drive a bit wide and then, make that little fake. And Connor, you could tell he was really pushing. He was pushing all night. And there's some comments I have about that later, but he, he was really trying to get going. And that was one of the few times that I thought he found some open space. And he, unfortunately, had to do it by himself. Most of what was going on for Connor was kind of on his own. And I believe that John Cooper has a real challenge to find the line mates that are correct for him. I actually underestimated the difficulty they'd have in finding that. I said it here on the show that Reinhart and Marner weren't the guys. And,
Yeah.
so I said that before the tournament. Here we are.
No,
He
I
had
know you did.
multiple line mates last night. And they're
Yeah.
trying to find someone for him. Unfortunately, the right
Yeah.
guy is probably just flying back to Edmonton, maybe Hyman the next day or two.
Yeah, we'll push
Or he's in
we'll
Ottawa.
push that part of the we'll push that conversation to the next segment. What we think they should do with their lines, but by all means, what we thought last night. We're through a couple of games here, and at even strength, Mitch Marner has had a hard time making any sort of impact on the games. Just the style of play just isn't a match, and I have to say, and this isn't a Toronto Edmonton thing. This isn't a whatever. When I watch Marner play at this level, it makes me think, like, I kind of understand how he can pull a bit of a disappearing act in the playoffs. You know, he's such a brilliant regular season player. He puts up great numbers. He's one of the best players in the game during the regular season, but when it really, really elevates, he has a hard time finding a way to make an impact. And we're seeing it out here. We've seen it in the playoffs. And it's just not a fit. You nailed it right from the get-go. You absolutely nailed it. And so it was McDavid last night trying to find moments, and a U.S. team that gave him one, but then Charlie McAvoy made a pretty big statement, like he wasn't getting any more.
Yeah, and so listen, I don't want to pile on Marner, but the challenge, and I said this earlier, so I'm not, but revisiting this or just saying I did before, the challenge for Marner is that he needs to get the puck, right? He doesn't want to go and take it. He needs to be given the puck. And when you're playing with a Connor or a McDavid or whoever, that doesn't always work very well. You need to go and get it. And I think that's the challenge for him, trying to figure. And this is his first time, so I get it. But at that level, you gotta be able to figure that out. But they're having a tough time finding line mates for him. And Connor, I honestly felt that Connor was kind of a freedom fighter out there, right? Braden Point, maybe there's something there. Sid, maybe there's something there too. But it just was hard. How many times we've seen him get the puck and then he's kind of looking around like, all right, who wants it? Or who can I give it to? Like it was, and then a lot of times he'd settle to tap it back to the D, because what the Americans did a great job, and I think we got to turn and focus a bit on them. They put up a defensive clinic. Like those D-men were really good. And it actually reminded me a lot of when the Oilers lost to the Golden Knights a couple of years ago in the second round.
Great point.
Canada had quite a bit of own zone time working around, but they couldn't get it off the wall to the net or from the point to the net. And they were giving them those shots, but there was no like second chances. It was like one and done, we're out. And so those D were really, really good. And you could name one, just name a D man. I'm like, yep, they were good. They were really good.
Slavin, good.
Werenski,
awesome.
He
was
great.
Down
McAvoy, even Adam Fox. I didn't think Adam Fox had that in him, but they decided they were not going to give the Canadians good chances to score, except from the outside. And, they get the shot, and there's Hellebuck, one of the best, if not the best goalie in the league, there to make a save. And he didn't, especially in the third, I didn't think he had to make any crazy good saves. But I think they, assuming they win the game against Finland, the challenge for John Cooper is to figure out who's going to play with who, and then how do you get to the net? I think giving up the lead is a disaster, because it's clear that Americans are happy to sit back and just rope a dope for, 20 minutes or more.
So Canada, there's the scraps and the energy in the building. McDavid scores the beautiful goal. It's 1-0 Canada. And then every Canadian's biggest fear, right? Like heading into this tournament, Canadian fans, every single one of them at some point, probably that day, would have had a conversation with somebody and said, well, I just wonder how the goaltending is going to do, right? Everybody was thinking it coming in. Everybody knows it's the single biggest weakness. Everybody knows it was a massive mismatch. And boom, air just comes out of the building. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was like this, oh, yeah, moment. That was a really, really tough one, Struds, on that tying goal. And coming off a game where, he was great in overtime, but definitely have not loved most of the goals that have gone in on this guy.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a really tough moment for that team, because now that's 2 games in a row there's been a weak goal. And maybe it's unfair to say that, but at that level, there can't be weak goals, especially when you're looking at a team like the Americans that are so hard to score on. It was so tight out there. There's no room to move. So, once they got those 2 goals, they're like, yeah, no problem. We'll just sit back and we'll just hang on here. So, I it's a challenge. Do you go to Aiden Hill? Do you sit Bennington? Those are huge decisions. Like these are up to the decisions. Like we saw Chris Knobloch putting Picard against Vancouver, and quite frankly, it's probably higher because as you heard the players talk about, we have a game 7. There's a game 7 tomorrow. Now the Finns, they've got pretty good offensive players. Their D, they're not there, probably not there. So it probably is going to be a game where you can kind of ease the guy in, but he can't come in and give up 2 bad goals. Tough.
Let's get to our DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center YouTube poll. Are you fired up for the upcoming golf season? 2025 gear from TaylorMade Ping Callaway arriving at DeBoer's. Get ahead of the fitting rush and schedule your appointment today, located at 5311 99th Street in Edmonton. Steve, we're going to go right at the goaltending question with our YouTube poll tonight, buddy.
You betcha. First of all, Shogger, just so you know, your audio, there's like some fan noise coming from your end. I don't know what that is, but I don't know what that would be, but you can hear it.
Might be my laptop, I wonder.
Yeah, maybe it's fan. Anyway, probably fan from your laptop. It's not awful, but it's there. I don't know if you can do anything about it. Okay, so the question for the DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center poll this evening is who starts in goal versus Finland? Simply. Obviously, your 3 choices are Binnington, Hill, or Montembeault. So the question is who starts in goal versus Finland? What do you think, Struds?
All right.
Oh God, I can't believe I have to even. I'm nervous to make this call. I'm not even a coach. I'm going Aiden Hill. Put him in there.
Whew. I mean, you got to put him in, expecting him to win, and then you're starting him in the gold medal final, right? Or not gold medal, in the final. So yeah, you're putting him in, and that's your goaltending switch right there. Whoever you play tomorrow has a good chance to have a decent day and win a game.
Yeah,
Canada would be favored to. It's not going to be easy, but you have a chance to put Jordan Binnington in and have him have a good day and win a game. And if you really believe he's the guy, have him feeling a little bit better about things heading into the final game. It's not going to be the same type of challenge, but at the same time, you've trusted him twice, and there's been quite a bit left wanting. So I probably make the switch to Aiden Hill. He's played in big games too. And the YouTube poll already taking off. I think this is going to be an absolute landslide, but we'll see what people have to say. We'll check in on that result coming up a little bit later on in the show. Thanks, Steve. All right, well, let's hear from Connor McDavid following the game last night. We'll get to our Weiss Johnson sound box. Weiss Johnson's offering 10% off any new furnace installed before March 1st. Should you need to replace your furnace because it's getting a little bit unreliable and you want a newer, better model that is more efficient, mention that you heard it on Got Yer Back. When you book your estimates, you'll get 10% off your new furnace price. Visit Weiss-Johnson.com today.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Steve-O, we got some Connor McDavid post-game last night?
Whoops, you bet we do. Yeah, here we go.
As I said the other night, a lot of great players out there. It was fast again, tight checking, competitive, emotional, had everything that you would want in a hockey game, I thought. As I said, it sucks it didn't go our way, but things far from over.
What's the feeling going to Boston?
Just excited. Another opportunity for us to go get a big win.
All right, there you have it. Team Canada, by the way, changed its plans because a massive storm moved in here in Montreal, Toronto, all across the east here. Just got absolutely walloped. So they were supposed to fly in today, Struds. They instead changed their plans and went late after the game last night. Didn't get into Boston until 6 a.m. today. And so they ended up just with an optional skate in a pretty light day. Unfortunately, I did not make it to Boston. I've had 2 flights canceled. This is just right outside the hotel. Just to give you a bit of an idea sort of how much snow has fallen. The plows moved it over on the side of the road, but just copious amounts of snow have fallen. So I had 2 flights canceled already, and unfortunately, it's looking like I am not going to be able to get there for the game tomorrow. So I'll be here watching it on TV and waiting for the conditions to get a little better, and then hopefully I will be able to travel in. But overall, Bud, anytime Team Canada's having to dump the puck in that much with all that skill, and there was almost no cycle game, like no sustained ozone pressure, no cycle game, dumping it in all the time. That's not a great recipe for winning a game.
No, it makes it pretty tough. And then, that the chemistry of the lines, it's kind of the worst case scenario. You're moving lines around, you're not, the three, let's just stick with the top three lines. Or I guess we can go with all four. That started the tournament. We're all different, right? They're all different. So, it took 60 minutes and you had to change everything. And so you're just looking for anything that's working. And I understand as a coach, and I'm not blaming Cooper here, but you're trying to figure out something that works. And, I thought the Tampa line was somewhat, they were kind of having some time in the ozone.
They did their job,
it was,
I thought.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look
until
at
he made the change.
Yeah. They were pretty productive, but I honestly, I'm not sure why Marchand and Bennett aren't getting more ice time. I think they need to get players that are willing to and want to drive to the middle of the ice off the wall, and those two guys will do it. And there are others playing more that's not their game.
I'm going to tell you, Bud, I don't know that you can play Marchand more. He does not have, well, at least in that game, he did not have the speed. He was way behind.
Fair point.
And to me, he looked like he was having a heck of a tough time getting there. And I was thinking the same thing as you. How can you get him a little bit more engaged? But he just didn't have the foot speed to function in that game. He'd come off the wing, off the rush, and there was no chance he was getting anything done. There was no way for him to beat anybody. Like at this level, he does not have the speed for me to make an impact in that game. That's
so then you got to find others that are willing to drive the middle of the ice, because they were for the most part satisfied to stay on the outside in the offensive zone, especially in the third. And if they get down, let's assume they make it to the final. They get down. Someone's got to have a plan. Can't just hope. Hope and best wishes they're going to change it.
A couple of them elements we got to hit on here. There was a lot of focus on the line change by Thomas Harley and Devon Taves coming on a little bit late. But in my mind, Thomas Harley's looking at that play, and he's looking that Sidney Crosby has the puck across the blue line. Feels like that's a safe time to change. Like that turnover from Crosby, Struds, that can happen in that game. And they're going to happen. Mistakes are going to happen. This one bit them big time. And it was coupled with a little bit of a sluggish change there. I think it was Taves coming on a little bit late. I was in the middle of Crosby's interview after the game. I asked him a pretty generic question, and right away he said, yeah, it's a really tight game. You can't make that mistake. That was a big mistake from Crosby.
Especially him, and I'm not going to say it's all his fault, but, that's the guy. He's there for that calm moment, right? To get it deep. And I've been in that situation as a D-man. You're like, I think it's safe to change. So you come over to change, and all of a sudden it's like a jailbreak. Everyone's coming back at you. Do I go? Do I stay? Should I go back? Like everyone's trying to figure it out, and then everyone freezes and nothing happens. So really, really tough sequence there. Not, I just coached two kids, like U13 and U15 today. Like plays at the blue line are so important. Like I cannot highlight how important those plays are at every level, because if not, it's a jailbreak the other way, and that's a hard play. Put the D-man in a bad spot, and I guess Harley could have gone back out there, but in that moment, it seems easy right now. It's not that easy in real time or clear.
Yeah. So we've talked about the goaltending and the mistakes, but bottom line, Struds, you can't score one goal and win. Like the offense is the offense they have on this team should be able to cover up for a goaltender letting in one bad goal. The offense on this team was supposed to be its strength. Yes, they didn't have the goaltending, and yes, the blue line was watered down, but look at the high-end talent. And beautiful moment from Connor McDavid, but it's 2 games here, and this offense really has yet to find a stride and get clicking and find any sort of mojo at all.
Yeah, and I'll say it again, man. You got to give the Americans credit. I thought they did a masterful job. Yeah. They were really above the puck, making hard, but all the forwards for the Oilers are very offensive-minded, right? They can all score. So they got to find a way to make it happen. And I've been beating this drum, but you got to get to the middle of the ice. You can't just accept going to the outside. And yeah, going to front, it might not be the most comfortable place, but you got to find a way to get to the middle of the ice, maybe kick it out, then someone drives the net, you send it back to the net, and we try to create some chaos there. But especially the third, they were so satisfied to stay on the outside. So these guys know how to score. They understand it. And I'm guaranteeing John Cooper would have pulled up some clips and said, hey, boys, look at these. So tomorrow against Finland, I would think there'll be guys driving through, getting to them like between the dots rather than being satisfied outside the dots. I'd be floored if John Cooper did make that priority number one in his video or conference, whatever he's going to do.
Opalist21 says Canada also hugely missed Theodore and Makar. Getting pucks up to the forwards in stride was an issue. Definitely agree with that. Okay, let's get to our Relentless player. Brought to you by UCAN Youth Services. Their annual Comedy Nights fundraiser is almost here. And there's a couple of ways you can help support youth in our community. Purchase a ticket or a table for one of these amazing comedy nights, or you can donate items or experiences to be featured in the silent auction. Your support makes all the difference. So to donate, grab your tickets. Visit ucan.ca. All right, Strudge, you got a Relentless player today?
Got to go with Kachucks. I'm sorry, these two guys just put on a clinic. I'm a very proud Canadian, but I love what they did. I love that they started that fight. As a hockey player, I love it. As a Canadian, the whole thing. So those guys, the two most relentless players, 9 seconds into the game. I absolutely love that moment for them and for the game.
All right, big matchup for Canada. Tomorrow, we will take a closer look at their matchup against Finland, where if they win in regulation, they are into the final in a rematch with the United States. That's coming up next. That was the breakdown brought to you by Alberta Ram Dealers. Plenty more ahead here on the pod. Brought to you by Play Alberta. Right back.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolandentistry.com.
Thinking of that dream vacation? A quick winter escape? Well, flight delays are dreadful. Hospital visits, not fun. Alberta Blue Cross gives you coverage for emergency medical care, cancellations, and lost baggage. Flexibility, reliability, even lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too much. Plus 24/7 travel support ensures you're never left out in the cold. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more.
Just dealing with a little bit of technical issues here, folks. Just bear with us for a moment.
Yeah. I'm here, buddy. Just working on my mic. So my mic is messy right now. We're going to try and fix that. So give me 1 second. I think I might know what the problem is, Steve.
Okay.
So let's get to that in just a second here. Time now for Takeaways, brought to you by Martin Motorsports. This Wednesday will be an exciting day at Martin Motorsports as Skidoo reveals their 2026 lineup on February 19th. Stay tuned to see what's new for next year's Skidoo models. Or if you want to hit the powder yet this year, visit Martin Motorsports as they still have 2025 sleds in stock, which you can get today for 0% financing. Visit them in Edmonton or online at martinmotorsports.ca. Okay, Steve, why don't you, something I got to check here. So why don't you just run through the sound that we have
Sounds good.
From earlier on today. You guys can run through that and discuss it, and I'm just going to check something here with my audio. 1 sec.
No problem at all. Okay, so our Weiss Johnson soundbox today. For the audio, we've got Makar. First of all, Makar talks about his chances of playing tomorrow, whether he's going to play tomorrow or not.
I mean, I'm going to do everything I can to play tomorrow. I just got to make sure I feel right, body and everything wise, and go from there. So.
How hard was it not to be in that game against them in that atmosphere yesterday?
Incredibly hard. Obviously, you grow up as a kid dreaming about that game, especially being played on Canadian soil. So, probably one of the toughest decisions I've ever had to make, and hopefully never have to do that again. But yeah, just got to make sure myself feel good and I'm ready to go.
Let's continue with Makar as he talks about playing Finland and what he expects from Finland.
Finland plays a really solid game. I caught a little bit of their last one. Very good in the forecheck, and then have some goal scorers as well. So they're lethal all around the ice, but we got to find ways to expose them. And I think it just starts with our speed and making sure that we utilize it right and support each other well.
All right, checking 1 2 1 2. Is that better, Steve-O?
Way better.
Yeah,
Thanks.
okay. Yeah, so we were on the laptop mic. There was an error. So sorry about that, folks, for the annoying fan noise. For some reason, as soon as we went live, everything switched over there.
Someone said, someone
again,
on the stream, I didn't see who it was, but said, Sugar doesn't have any fans.
Yeah. Exactly.
Solid
My one and
solid
only
dad
fan
joke.
right here on the stream with me. So Makar did skate today. Claire Hanna is actually in Boston, so she's helping out with some of the coverage. She was there. And, there is some sense, Struds, and I don't really have anything to back this up, but based on what I saw the other day, based on what Claire described today, Dave Parker is out there as well, my fabulous cameraman. I can't help but wonder if there isn't an injury, some sort of a nick here, as well as an illness. It would seem odd to me that if a guy is as sick as Makar must have been to have been kept out of that game, that he was like full practice with the guys out there. Normally you keep those guys a little bit separate, don't you? If it's an injury, if it's a sickness that's significant enough that you pull yourself out of the game. He was right in there that practice day, full media scrum, the whole bit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because generally speaking, if you are sick, they get rid of you as fast as they can. Like, go home, get away from us. We don't want to get the rest of the team sick. The last thing you want is all the Team Canada players going home sick after this thing. So that is very good insight and probably a pretty good possibility. But man, could they use him? They could have used his mobility, getting to the middle of the ice. It's just not the same without him. So yeah, I would like to think he's going to be able to play. If not tomorrow, and again, hoping they win so they can see him they need him against Americans. They need that mobility.
Let's talk a little bit about this Finnish squad, buddy, because I'll tell you what, through 2 periods, they were giving the U.S. fits through 2 periods. They played them hard. And a penalty that was taken right at the end of the second period kind of really changed that game, right? And maybe a little bit of a questionable call, but whatever. And then the U.S. gets the power play goal, and they just start piling it in from there. I can't help but wonder what might have happened if that penalty had never been taken or that call had never been made. So the score, a little bit deceptive in terms of how well Finland competed and played in that initial game. And then a really gutsy overtime victory, Granlund with an overtime winner. These guys were expected to be, by some margin, the underdogs in this tournament. And they could well be the 3rd best team and have a chance to take out one of the big teams tomorrow in Canada. They are not to be trifled with.
The challenge for them is their D. That's just a fact. No Mira Heiskanen. It just him alone would make such a difference because that's 25 to 30 minutes of playing time, of effortless skating, getting around the ice. So they really miss him, like really, really miss him. And I thought that watching that American game, their top guys they were relying on slowly just kind of got worn down, and to the point where then they just broke. Just like I said, just Heiskanen himself, to me, they might have won that game against Americans.
Yeah, they could have. Good top line skill, buddy. Like Alexander Barkov knows how to play against Connor McDavid. Mikko Rantanen has been quiet. Mikko Rantanen has not been the same since that trade. He has not found his mojo. Seems like that really took the wind out of his sails, but he is still a fantastic player and can rise to any big moment. So certainly some concern level with their top end talent. Sebastian Aho, excellent player. Rupe Hintz has played good, solid games against the Oilers for a while. Laine, comes and goes, but that's another very good player. Like legit, Capo Caco, Teravainen, Halla, Lundell. Their entire forward group are legit solid quality NHL players. And then it looks like maybe they got the right guy in net now in Lankinen. Nothing against Saros, but Lankinen has been one of the better stories in the NHL this year. So really deep team up front with a great goaltender.
They do, but I'll just keep banging this drum. So they had to play Esa Lindell 28 minutes against Sweden, and then they played Nico Mikola 26 minutes. Right. Then after that, you've got Oli Mata, serviceable 5-6 D-men probably. Henry Jokiharju, same thing, 5-6 D-men. Euro Vakanainen, kind of younger player if I remember correctly. So you put in Heiskanen in there, it makes a big difference. So the weakness is their D. You need to go after their D tomorrow. Like that is number one, put pressure on those guys, wear them down, finish hits, get on them, attack them, make them make plays under pressure. So eventually, maybe not Lindell or Makala, but someone's going to make a mistake. And I think you have to attack them. Put pressure on them all night long. Because you're not the forwards, you don't want them playing in your zone.
Yeah. So the one thing this tournament has is tons of rest. Like lots of practice time and lots of time between games. So I know what you're saying about the heavy minutes, but it's not like they got to do it, 2 out of 3 days or 3 out of 5 or so. Like there's 2 days between basically every game. Everybody's getting an opportunity to grab a breather and rest. So those guys, I know it's a big ask, and I know, but in all of these games, they have played huge minutes in both of their games against players that feel like a mismatch to them. And the Finns just have a way, Struds. I don't know if it's their overall style, the commitment from the forwards. I don't know what it is. They do not seem overmatched in these games for the most part.
Their team, but they did eventually against the Americans. Like that's you can't just say what that penalty wasn't
once the
taken.
dam broke.
And then that's why you just keep putting. And I thought the Americans did a good job. Pressure. And I'm not talking about getting tired like from the games they played. I'm just saying in general, if you get to D-man that aren't ready for that, and you have to play them some, right? There's you got to play some of those guys. They played someone played 10, 12, 15, 16 minutes. They're out there. They're not used to playing against Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, McKinnon. You need to attack those guys. So I'm looking tomorrow. The very first shift, you dump if they stand up, you dump it in and you go on after them right away. Make them make pressure plays before they're ready. Because teams are the Finns are very organized as a team, as they all are. But the Finns really play well together. They're connected. And those D want to get up to those forwards as fast as they can, which any smart team would want to do because that's their strength. Goaltending is a bit of a question, and the lack of depth on the back end. You have to punish those guys. Hitting is one thing, but make them suffer. But so by the third period, like we saw at the Americans, it's over.
What would you do with the lines?
Well, it starts with McDavid. I got to get McDavid going. So McDavid and McKinnon doesn't work together. I think we've figured that out because they're too similar. So we saw a bit of this last night. I'm starting Point and Sid with McDavid. That's what I got. I'm starting there. Then, McKinnon can play, you can figure it out after that, but you've got to find people that can race and play with him. And I think that those two guys would be an option. What say you?
Yeah, I said this today. Just because they didn't win the game doesn't mean they didn't make the right adjustments at the end. And part of the issue is you're putting these lines together for the first time and things take a little bit of time. So you have the tail end of last game. If you start them together this game, chances are they'll have more looks, more opportunity, have more mojo. And so if you keep that line together through this game against Finland, now you have the back part of last game, this whole game against Finland, if you win, and now you're going into the game against the United States. They've got a few games together under their belt. There's a good chance they're going to start to feel it together against Finland. This game presents the opportunity for this to, and if you start fresh again, it may or may not work. And then where do you go if it doesn't work? Like now you're down to on your whiteboard, your third or fourth set of combinations by the time you're heading into a final if you didn't love the way things looked. So I would keep that line together. Crosby, McDavid, and Point. Point is brilliant. Fantastic player. Crosby, he's playing through it. He's injured. We know that.
isn't what he used to be. Let's just say it. We all know he's older. Had a beautiful opening game, an amazing opening game, 3 great plays, but I think he can still get things done. So I'm good with keeping him on that top line with those guys. Now, figuring out a line for McKinnon. Do you want Marner on the line with McKinnon? Do you just give him Reinhart and Marner, and you try and keep Marner in your top 6? I'm a little worried about Bennett getting too high up in the lineup, Struds. Like his puck skills are not spectacular, right? He's got a lot of sloppy handles, especially in the neutral zone and such. So I'm not sure about giving him too much responsibility. So I can't help but wonder if the top 6 doesn't kind of start where it finished last game.
And I get that, but I guess when I look at Bennett, he's going to get to the net. So if you leave the top 6 as is, of those 6, which one's getting to the net? I think you make the case it gets there. I think the brain point's going to try to get there, and but that's the challenge. So I totally get what you're saying, but I thought in limited minutes he was impactful. So at least give him to the third line. Like they got to find somewhere for him to get an opportunity to get to the net, and I believe he did that, or will do it.
And maybe Hagel in for Jarvis, or not Hagel, Konechny in for Jarvis.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Konechny. I didn't think the pace was pretty fast for him. I thought that
I liked his physicality in the opening game. I mean, he was willing, man. He was stepping into guys and he was grinding. I liked his physical play in the first game.
Yeah, but I thought his puck play was challenged just for the tempo and the speed. So I mean, if you want to, I honestly think we'll see three lines a lot. It's a game. Makes 7. Sense. You're gonna roll it.
All right, back to the Weiss Johnson Soundbox finish. I believe it's Eric Halla second, but Finnish coach Antti Pennanen on the matchup tomorrow.
Sorry, I do not have that, Shogger. I've got John Cooper and I've got Ekholm. Yeah.
Oh, you got Cooper? You got Coop on the matchup?
I got Coop. Yep. Talking about Finland.
Okay. I apologize. I think that's my bad, Steve. I think I might have accidentally sent that to Zuby before I knew you were doing the show.
Okay. You know what? And Zuby said, get the coach for Shogger. We were talking about different coaches. There you go.
So you grabbed Cooper. Well, now we've gotten to the bottom of the mistake. And it sounds like it was mine because I didn't know who was producing our show. Anyways, here's John Cooper on the matchup.
You have to marvel at the Finns because you can go to any tournament and they always seem to be the team that probably never gets the respect they deserve until they're in the final. And you're like, whoa, how'd Finland get here? But it's every tournament. It's World Juniors. It can be World Championships. They're always, always, always hanging around. And it's because they just play a disciplined style. I think everybody in the country knows exactly how they play. They have an identity to them. And now you look and you're just, all of a sudden you're like, wow, that's Rantanen. And that's Barkov. And that's Aho. And that's Laakkonen. And you just go down the list of guys that have either won cups or been the guys that have propelled their teams to win at playoff time. And it's and then they've always had sneaky good goaltending, always. And so it's they're just really, really impressive, especially of a country that's small, in population, to be able to produce the hockey players they do and then have a specific identity that they find a way to get it done in tournaments.
And that's why tomorrow sets up to be a really good game. That was Takeaways brought to you by Martin Motorsports. Okay, a bit of a curveball here for you, Steve. Let's get to our core blue liners because it's still Team Canada related and a really big storyline actually that happened over the last 36 hours or so. So core blue liners brought to you by HSE Core Services. If you're a small to medium-sized business, they have your back when it comes to health and safety compliance, from creating and managing tailored health and safety programs that meet all legislation and core requirements. They support client operations every single step of the way. HSECOR.com is the website for more information. It was funny seeing at practice. Thomas Harley sitting there peeking his head out behind the door, looking at Cale Makar, wondering if he was going to be allowed to come out onto the ice in practice. Struds, they call this guy in, very little time to get himself squared away. Probably hadn't skated for a few days. Steps in last night, my friend. What say you?
Yeah, I've liked this guy for a while. He's a good young defenseman. And a lot of people might not even know him because he plays in Dallas, but he's tall. He's 6'3", 200 and probably 15 pounds, and he gets around the ice really well. He's physical. He makes good plays. And I was quite worried for him last night, just because it's such an awkward thing to go into. You don't really know the guys, and hey, if this guy can't play, you're in. Okay, who's the guy? Cale Makar. Oh, I got to replace Cale Makar? Okay, thank you. That sounds great. But he went out there, and I thought he played well. I honestly thought he played well. He made some good plays. He was physical. And again, it was all considered the situation he was in. I honestly believe, now might be a little optimistic, he's only 23, but I think he's played his way into the conversation just on that one game about Olympic consideration next year. Yeah, I don't know that I'm not saying he's passing guys, but he is now fully on the radar after the way that he did and handled that situation last night, buddy.
This will be an eye-opener for, Team Canada and Hockey Canada. Not that they didn't know this, but seeing it up close.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Tanev would be scrambling madly out here because of the pace of play. Even Uyghur, who's a much better skater, you need to have guys that can burn out here. Pareko's a big, tall guy and gets around pretty well, but you wouldn't want anybody to be too much slower than that. Bouchard, speed-wise, would be right on the line out here. Harley is an excellent skater, really, really nice skater. And I think you want guys that can move. The guys that can move, as it's elevated, are putting themselves in better positions and getting exposed a little bit less. So for me, speed, and skill on this blue line is huge. And I think Harley, quite frankly, if Cale Makar is ready to play tomorrow, I'm not sure Harley isn't right in that lineup with him. I don't know if maybe there isn't a different decision to be made there, Struds.
Was he even allowed to play?
Yeah, our understanding is now they can use him as they need him.
Okay.
Yeah. Dude, they're making these rules up on the back of a napkin as they go.
No, I get it. So who's coming out then? Sanheim?
Did you take him out? Maybe Sanheim? I don't know.
Sanheim probably. I mean, I thought he acquitted himself really well. And he's big and he's mobile. And that's a defenseman coach's dream.
Yeah. And
he provides some offense. So I think, it'd be interesting. I got to believe Makar's playing. And if my choice is Sanheim or Harley based on what I saw last night, I'm probably giving Harley the spot.
Yep. All right, that was Core Blue Liners, brought to you by HSE Core Services. All right, when we come back, we're going to get to Brownie Points and then Struddy's World and our big Got Your Back announcement. Can't wait to tell you the news. Have you heard? So we've got that. And then in our Take a Lap segment, once again, we're going to talk about the Edmonton Oilers. So go ahead and if you got any questions about the Oilers specifically or whatever, we can take some of those in the next segment as well as Ask Us Anything. So the big reveal coming up next here on the show.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that just leads to better living.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
Yes, it is time for Brownie Points, brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. If you're craving bold flavor and unbeatable quality jerky with prime Alberta beef, look no further. Made right there in Alberta. 13 mouth-watering flavors. There's a perfect bite for everybody. For the month of February, 2 pounds of jerky for $70. Get a free bonus quarter pound of mystery flavor. And as always, free shipping Alberta-wide. Visit albertajerky.com and enter the code GOTYOURBACK for an additional 10% off. We're going to share the workload a little bit tonight, Struds. What do you got for Brownie Points?
Well, I'm loving the people they brought in Montreal. So I'm going to give 100 points to whoever's in charge for bringing out GSP. I'm a huge GSP fan, George St. Pierre. And he came out, and here's my prediction. I believe it'll be Tom Brady will come out in Boston. Lock that one. Write that one down, boys.
I wonder if they're going to do that. I wonder if that'll be the plan. That whole thing seemed a little bit awkward. And this is killing me. I forget who the United States, who the skater was that came out. Oh, that's so bad of me. I apologize. Anyways,
was it a Mike
It was
Richter?
a little bit awkward. What's that?
Was it a Richter, the goalie?
No. There was she was I believe the figure skater.
Okay.
Oh my God, this is so bad. Anyways, that announced Team USA when they came out onto the ice. It was a little awkward. Like the US had to sit there and wait on the bench, and then GSP came out and they announced Team Canada. It was like this big, huge to-do, but it was a different way of doing it. It was kind of interesting, and I wonder if they'll do something similar in the United States or not. I'm going to go 4 brownie points, and I'm gonna upgrade that to 6, 2 for each fight. 1 brownie point for each of the linesmen for staying the heck out of the way, especially in the first 2. Those guys had a lot of distance between them before they threw any punches. You want to know if the NHL really wants fighting in the game or not? Watch how the linesmen react when 2 guys drop their gloves and reorganize their gear and have to take a second and get themselves. Linesmen had tons of time to jump in. Fights would have never happened. Imagine the buzzkill. But they did not, despite it being almost obvious. Like, you got to not make the linesmen look so bad. Don't skate around so far apart. Just get to it. But I give him 6 brownie points for staying the heck out of the way, Strudby.
97 points for Connor McDavid for having a massive moment. Absolutely massive moment. Like, that was signature goal for him. You know, he's wanted one so badly. He's had it now. He's had it. But he's going to want a few more before this is over. I'm guessing 2 or 3 more if they're going to win this thing.
Yeah, for sure. Steve, do you got any brownie points, buddy?
I got some write-ins. So Obelisk 21 says
let's do it.
2 brownie points for Lauren McDavid, who designed the team coats for the Canadian and Sweden wives and girlfriends. The Swedes look particularly good. Yeah, I just
I
just
didn't know
searched
she
it.
did.
Me neither. You can find it on her
She
Instagram.
did Team Sweden as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she worked with the Oilers and did a line of like vintage Oiler gear as well. And it's actually pretty cool stuff. It's like nothing you've seen before. If you want to go a little off the beaten path and grab yourself some Oilers stuff. So yeah, she's quite the designer. And as we've seen on Instagram from her, looks like there's a business that's going to be opening up in town. So yeah, interesting and notable. Lauren McDavid right into the mix from a business standpoint with the team and also in the community, which I think is a good thing. I'm going to give 250 brownie points to someone you've never heard of. Her name is Madeline. Jeez. She handles the travel at TSN. And I got to tell you guys, we had an entire panel full of poodles. All their flights got canceled. My flight got canceled. Like everybody's flights exploded. And Madeline did an amazing job taking care of everybody. She was on call, working on the weekend, basically worked all day, working the phones above and beyond for us. So not sure if she's a Got Your Back listener or not, but we take for granted the work that goes behind the scenes on a big machine like TSN. So Madeline, thanks for the extra effort.
Janius McKay says 33 brownie points to Aiden Hill, who has decked out his goalie equipment in awesome Canadian fashion to be shown on the ice.
Yeah.
Yet he sits on the sidelines. Aiden Hill in net tomorrow is what she says. So, yeah, we'll look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, Zuby loved that gear, Struddy. And as I'm seeing it more and more in person, he is by a mile the sharpest one of the 3. You got any more, Struds, or is that it?
No, that's good.
Light night on Brownie points. Hope to have Brownie back. I don't know. Like, what's his deal? Does he still work with us? Are we just forgetting about him? Is that, maybe we should make that part of the announcement that Brownie's done?
No, he's trying to create, I don't know. I didn't want to say this, but he's trying to get from a 5 to a 6 in looks. And he thinks if he gets a good deep tan, he'll get there. But I said, buddy, you were a 4 when you left. You don't jump 2 for a tan. You jump 1 point. So
he has to leave the pub to get a tan. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, if you overdo it, you come back a 3. You leave a 4 and you come back a wrinkled old, like an old baseball mitt, a 3. So anyways, look forward to getting Brownie back into the mix. All right. Let's still roll the animation tonight, Steve-O. time for a big announcement in our Struddy's World segment. Roll it.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Gotta look good. Oh, you're muted, Chugger. Oh, I don't know why. Let's see here. Does that bring in? Okay.
Got me now?
Yeah,
One,
got
two,
you
one,
now.
two, 1, 2. Beautiful. Time now for Struddy's World and our announcement brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. They got locations in Calgary and Edmonton. If you're a contracting business or a contractor, let DLR help you add vinyl fence to your product line. Reliable, unmatched service with high-quality North American-made products. Visit DLRvinylproducts.ca. We had some guesses as to what our announcement might be coming in a little bit earlier on. Everything from adding Terry Ryan back to, this and that. You and I may be leaving Struds, all kinds of different stuff. But no, we are super pumped and really excited to announce here on the show, Struds, that since you have not been getting enough airtime on this show, you started complaining a little bit that I was doing too much of the talking. And we made the decision that it was time for Struddy to have his own show. So may we present to you Struddy's World, coming at you, debuting this week. We were thinking Oiler fan doesn't have enough to do on their lunch hour. What are you doing at work from 12 to 1 o'clock? Well, now live on our YouTube channel, live on X, probably on Twitch too, and then also available in podcast form on your drive home every Wednesday from 12 to 1 o'clock. We have Got Your Back, Struddy's World. The big guy's all grown up. Time to have his name in lights again, his own show. And it's going to be an absolute blast. Struds, I'm fired up, buddy. I'm looking forward to it. And Zuby, who joins us on the line here, did a bang-up dynamite job on that logo. Oh. And Zuby is going to be your co-host on the show. So it's going to be Struddy's World every Wednesday with Chris Sabunia and guests. And it's going to be a ton of fun, Struds.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Zuby and I are really excited to finally be able to branch away from Schauger and spread our wings here, boys and girls. But it'll be fun. I think we're gonna prepare you for Oilers games. We'll talk about some Oilers games and then look around the rest of NHL and maybe some interesting things that happen in the sporting world. So kind of similar a little bit, but a little bit broader topics of what we've talked about. Maybe a little bit outside the hockey and definitely outside of some of the Oilers things going on. So. I know I'm excited to be, and obviously you're gonna have to keep me on the rails here, but I'm excited to be with you, buddy.
Oh, me too, man. I'm very excited, and that's time on Wednesdays. Usually, I spend watching paternity tests on Maury, so this is I'm really excited to branch out, and no, it's going to be time well spent. It's going to be exciting. I also think about all the times when you guys are talking, and my head's down in the little window there on the show and I'm just nodding, and very few times I see it go the other way is when you and I are talking about football or baseball or something out and Schauger's just sitting there nodding. So we'll get to explore that a little bit more.
Yeah, that's going to be a beautiful thing. And just to run down the plan for the show. So, we really believe that 12 to 1 o'clock, that lunch hour slot, that's where you need to know what's going on with the team that day. So the first segment every show is going to be an update from whatever's been going on with the Oilers. I'm often down at morning skate if it's a game day or at practice if it's a practice day. I will still be part of things. I'll be checking in most Wednesdays early on in that show to do that first segment with you, Struds. Hopefully we'll be able to turn some player sound around. So really it's fundamentally, it's about getting you up to speed on what the newest and latest information is that day on the Edmonton Oilers, whether they're home or whether they're on the road. But then another cool slant we're going to throw on this thing, Struds. We're going to have a couple of rotating guests in the second segment. And we got a couple of beauties that are going to be rotating regular, Struds. I'll let you do the reveal.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So, obviously, I'll have to do with friends. So we'll have Noodles. Jamie McClellan will join us kind of every other week. Then every other week will be Darren Drager. So a little bit different feel. Both those guys are great at hockey. With Newells, we'll really talk about kind of what's going on with specific teams that he's watching or following. And then with Drags, there'll be a little bit maybe more kind of news around the league and what he's seeing and hearing. So I'm really excited about kind of both of them being a part of it and kind of bring something different each week.
Yeah, 100%. And then we're also going to have a segment, like as everybody that watches this show knows, and to your point, Zuby, you and Struds are far better equipped to talk about some other stuff going on out there. You follow the NFL a lot closer. You follow, I'm okay with some other sports, but the town likes to talk about other stuff too. And we're very Oilers-centric here on Got Your Back. We do that for a reason. We believe that's what people want from us. But in that 12 to 1 o'clock slot once a week, Zuby, there's some room to dig into some other stuff. And people know you're a passionate Oiler fan, but you love some of the other major sports in the NFL and such, and much better conversation with you and Struddy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's an Oilers show. That's, we were founded on being an Oilers show. So we're obviously going to still dig in on that too. But yeah, it's a lot of fun for, I think Struddy and I get to spread our sports wings a little bit, and NFL, maybe some MMA, maybe a little wrestling. I'll sprinkle a little wrestling in there. It's a few people on the stream know that I like, and baseball season's coming up. That's always fun to dive into. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to chit chat, share some opinions about these other sports that Struddy and I are passionate about as well.
Yeah. And then there's some people asking on the stream here, asking if Struddy's World is going to disappear off the podcast. No. It is absolutely not. Struddy's World will remain a featured segment 4 times a week here on the show. That's the brand that we've built. But given it's his own show, of course it is going to be branded Struddy's World. Steve, you can bring the logo back up, man. Zuby, you did a fantastic job building this. Love the branding. And just to give everybody a sense of where they're going to be able to find it. So it will be on our YouTube page, and it will be live. It'll be on X, and it will be live. But then the podcast form that you're going to find it in, if you recall, I did a podcast with Pierre LeBrun and Mike Johnson, Got Your Back NHL edition. We had to put that one on hiatus for a number of different reasons. But we are going to be launching Got Your Back Struddy's World on that same podcast feed. So in the next day or so, you will see an update to that podcast feed. And we're going to make the announcement on that podcast stream. So if you're subscribed, it'll drop into your feed already. If you are not yet subscribed, Steve is going to drop that podcast feed link into the live window here, and he's also going to put it in the show notes. So if you want to get subscribed to Struddy's World ahead of time, check out the show notes, click on it. It might pop up as Got Your Back NHL, but that is going to change. So subscribe, tell your friends, and then you'll see it rebranded here in the next few days. So we're really excited. There's already an established audience on that podcast. Tons of the subs to that podcast feed are already in the Edmonton area. The other thing we want to make clear too, Struds, is that there's going to be some Leaf content. You have developed a unique relationship with Maple Leaf fans. And so basically in that second segment, you're going to cover off some regular Leafs content as well, where you can spread your love for the Leafs.
Yeah, and listen, I have a unique relationship. I think they like me and hate me at the same time. And I kind of feel the same way about them. So I think that they're an interesting team to follow because I think there's a lot of people that believe they're poised to win it. And then there are other groups that don't feel the same way. So I'll be interested to see how it shakes out. But I watch them a ton. So to kind of stay up with them and kind of see what they're up to. And obviously Noodles and Drags will be on it all the time too. So they're right up beside that team daily.
Looking forward to it, Zuby. You didn't have enough work on your plate, eh? Between 4 Got Your Back regular editions, couple of Ray and Dregs every week. I know Steve does a tremendous amount of lifting for us too, but a little more work for you, pal. You excited?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And as Obelisk is in on the chat here saying, just confirming it will be live. So it's not, I mean, it's pre-recorded if you listen to it later. But it will be live. But yeah, this one, it's all good. The work is fun. It's a super fun work to do, and that's I just if things get a little bit too heavy for me, I got a sticky note stuck on my computer. It just says "Let Struddy cook." So that's what I'll do if things are getting too.
I love it.
Fair point.
I love it. It's gonna kill me not to get the last word on every argument. I'm just gonna be sitting there listening. I'll be on the chat. I'll be all over the chat, just chirping and chiming and trying to get the last word. You guys know it.
Can't wait.
All right, Zuby. Good stuff, buddy. Get back to family time. Look forward to chatting with you soon, and absolutely looking forward to Got Your Back Struddy's World coming Wednesday at 12 o'clock Mountain Time. See you, pal.
Can't wait.
See you,
Let's
buddy.
do it.
See you, Zoobs.
Good night.
All right. See you, pal. All right. Rock and roll. Looking forward to it. Once again, available on the Got Your Back NHL Edition podcast feed. You might already be subscribed to it, but you will see the Struddy's World brand dropped onto that here in the next couple of days. Lots more ahead on the show, including some Oiler content coming up next year on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
All right, time now to take a couple of laps. Brought to you by Acon. If you're a skilled tradesperson or construction pro looking for work in Western Canada, they want to hear from you. They're looking for skilled tradespeople and construction professionals to join their Acon team and start building what matters today. One of Canada's original industrial contractors. They're building some of the largest multi-year industrial projects in Western Canada. Send your resume to them. Trades@acon.com. That is trades@acon.com. Oh, it's going to be fabulous on your new show, Struds. Oiler fans on the stream when you start talking Leafs. And Davin has already fired the first shot. The Leaf content will stop in April. So there's that. Says Davin.
Ouch. We might all want that, but maybe they got to go a little deeper. I honestly, it'll be really interesting to see how it kind of all works out. But, they're both pretty good teams, but I do think one's a little closer than the other. Okay. Well, so I've been thinking a little bit about the Oilers over this break, and I had a couple of questions I kind of brought up here, Shogger. And the first one was this, and I haven't answered my own mind, but if I asked you, which player needs to come out of this break on fire the most? Or maybe on fire is wrong, but just, ready. Who needs to come out? I guess guns a-blazing, like not so much scoring, but just playing well. Who needs to come out playing well from this break the most?
So I think it would be of monstrous benefit to the Oilers if this break means that Evan Bouchard has found a much more consistent higher-end game. I don't know if it was fatigue. I don't know where the issues have been. His game has not been anywhere near where it finished off last year. And I just think it's really important. He's the straw that stirs the drink on the back end of the power play. He's such an important puck mover for them. He needs to be reliable in the late in games. He needs to be that guy you can put out there in defensive situations. Again, they really need Evan Bouchard to do that because, Struds, if Evan Bouchard can elevate his game and start to be that reliable player that he looked like he was in the playoffs, the Oilers are going to feel a lot better about approaching the trade deadline, feeling like they can count on him in a few different situations. So I think Evan Bouchard needs to come out of the gate hot. Who did you have in your mind?
I had him as well. And I kind of foreshadowed this before. I said that I think this break would be good for him, a little mental reset. And I know that the analytics suggest he's doing a really good job. And I think he does do things well. For me, he's got to remove those easier mistakes that poor players make or weaker players make. He doesn't need to make those. He's above that. And if you can just remove those, I think both the eye and the analytics tests will now meet in a really positive place because you got him. You've got Nurse playing really well. You'll have Emerson, who's playing well, Kulak playing well. We know what
Mm-hmm.
the big guy can do. Ekholm. So I mean, there's a lot of positive movement in there. So that's interesting. We got the same. Then this one's a slightly different one, but on the same idea. Which player is going to come on the most the rest of this season?
So at a different pace to what they have done thus far.
That's right. So which
A
player
better
is going
pace to what they
Yeah,
have done thus far.
So the first question, which player needs to come out with guns a-blazing? And then
Yeah.
this one is, which player will come on? So I can go first if you like, because I have this one. I believe it's going to be Jeffrey Skinner. This is why.
Well, listen
I
to
think-
you.
Yes, I advocated for
Mr. The
him.
die is cast. It's time for a divorce. It's got
That's
to
right.
end.
That's right. I believe that he is going to have used this break. I thought he started playing pretty well before the break, playing well away from the puck. Better, I should say, better away from the puck.
Yeah.
But I think this time away, he'll have thought about and said, okay, this is how I have to play if I want to play regular and contribute. I've got to earn the trust of the coach, so I have to do X, Y, and Z, and that's away from the puck. So I think that I believe he's going to come on the rest of the season the most on this Oilers squad.
Well, do you know who I think has the space to in terms of what we've seen him capable of before and what they've gotten from him so far? And I think he's going to get lots of opportunity because he plays with the right guy. I'm going to say Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I think that Nugent-Hopkins knows he needs his game to be in a better place by the time the playoffs start. I think he's got more to give. I think this break will have done him good. So I'm going to say that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins gets a little bit better on a better side of things at even strength and is a little bit more impactful than what he's been this first stretch of the season. So I'll go with him because, quite frankly, I think there's some room for improvement there, buddy.
Fair. So that was my last question. But the guy that I actually also wrote down, and I almost went with him, was Zach Hyman. I think that he's going to have taken his time just to take a little break. Again, he hasn't played poorly, but I think that he feels he needs to contribute more offensively. So I think he could really get on a bit of a heater and kind of get himself kind of going close to what he did last year. Closer to what he did last year.
Right on. It's going to be interesting, man. They get back to practice Wednesday. Actually, the day of your first show is the day that they're back on the ice in Edmonton. I might end up being there. So my plan is if Canada wins outright tomorrow and they're in the final, then I am flying to Boston. If Canada loses and they're not in the final, I'm flying home. So then I'll be back in Edmonton, hopefully, knock on wood, all the flights go and everything. So I might be back there Tuesday for that first practice where the Oilers are back. But they will all be arriving back into town here in the next day or so. And then they'll get back on ice on Wednesday and look forward. I mean, this tournament has been fun, but I look forward to diving deep into the Edmonton Oilers as they hurtle towards trade deadline here. We have so much content coming, so much we're pushing out, and it's going to be an absolute blast. So looking forward to it, pal. That was taking a couple of laps, brought to you by our good friends over at Acon. Okay, what do we got left here, buddy? Oh, we need to figure out who might be taking a trip at trade deadline time. Yeah. Speaking of NHL trade deadline. So let's see who is taking a trip, brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. If you are planning a trip, whether it's a dream vacation, a quick winter escape, or a trip to watch the Oilers play, don't forget travel insurance. Alberta Blue Cross has got your back with emergency medical care, cancellations, lost baggage, and more. Flexibility, reliability. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more. Struds, who we focused on?
Well, I mean, people are talking about the goalies, right? My timeline gets picked up by a lot of goaltenders. John Kimster, we've highlighted him. And to be fair, we don't have a lot of time here, right? We got March 7th, so we're running out of time to get to it. So Karel Vejmelka, goaltender or netminder for the Utah Hockey Club. Let's just review what he's done. He's 28. What does I say? He's 28. He's 13-15 this year, wins and losses. Goals against 2.57 and save percentage is 9.09. Makes $2.7 million a year. People are thinking he might be available or moved out. And I read an interesting article. I'll give credit to I believe it was the Hockey News. And they talked about a few places that may want him. They had the Oilers on the list. There was also Ottawa with some of the situation they've had there. And then even Calgary, that maybe Dustin Wolf's playing too much and that Vladar has struggled. So maybe that's it. So this, to me, Schauger, feels like a netminder you're trading for depth. I don't believe he is you don't bring him in and say, like a John Gibson is your starter. Vejmelka is more of a 2, 1B, whatever you want to call it. So it's quite a bit of money to take on for that. Now, I know you can eat half. I get that. And there may be some, what's the right word? There might be some logic in bringing another goalie into the mix here for the Oilers, but cap wise, and then just number 3 goalies is a disaster. Every time I've had it was a disaster, but that would be the thinking behind this. If you're Stan Bowman.
Yeah. I mean, what did you say the money was again? I don't.
2.7. 2.7. Yeah, call it 2.7.
I just don't like spending money to bring someone in ahead of Calvin Pickard. I mean, Calvin Pickard will be kind of like a break glass if needed in the playoffs guy again, right? And I think he's shown, like, if you need Calvin Pickard to step in and win you a game and solidify while your starter gets his head on straight, I think he's shown that he can do that. So my sense would be there's 3 choices goaltending-wise for the Oilers here. Stan Pat, and I still believe that's the most likely. Bring somebody in that would be more of like a 1B, like let's say Gibson, right? Or a 1A and then Skinner's 1B, whatever you want to say, where it's more like legit competitor for the number 1 job. And then the third one would be just another depth guy that's in behind Pickard in case there's injuries, right? In case you have injuries and you want someone with some experience, because you don't want to be one injury away from, having somebody that doesn't have any experience. So I don't know about a tweener backup. I'm not sure that necessarily makes sense. A guy between a number 1 and a number 2, and that's kind of, it seems to be sort of the realm that Vejmelka. The Oilers have a good backup. They already have a really good backup. So, we'll be talking lots about Stuart Skinner over the next little bit here. And Stuart Skinner coming back from this great and being excellent. Maybe, honestly, that might have been a better answer than Evan Bouchard even. But the way he performs here in the next couple of weeks, I think is going to tell an interesting tale and maybe shape a little bit, for Stan Bowman, how much need he actually has heading towards trade deadline. How significant a need he feels that is. He's on the record, Struds, is saying he doesn't really think it is. And unless Skinner gives him a reason to out of this break, I think that's probably the way it stays.
Yeah, and I get it. But I guess what I'm looking at here is more you have 3 goalies deep, because right now if an injury happens to one of the 2 guys in the NHL, it's Rodrigue. So this way you have a little bit more comfort with a player who's been in the NHL. So you have 3. So I think that's when I talk about depth. It's more of a depth, but it's hard because now you have 3 goalies, and 3 goalies is it's a disaster, absolute disaster in practice. Disaster.
Yeah. All right. That was Taking a Trip, brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. We'll see what happens with Carl Vejmelka. Okay, Steve, why don't you hop on in here, buddy, and wrap up our YouTube poll, my friend, and we will get to Ask Us Anything, brought to you by BJ Electric Supplies. So a great local company founded in 1976. They're a full-line distributor providing quality wholesale electrical products for use in industrial, commercial, and residential settings. Proudly owned and operated in Edmonton. Visit bjelectric.ca. Was it a landslide, Steve-O? Kind of figured it would be a landslide. How did it land?
It was a landslide. So, yeah, we had, again, so the question was, who starts in goal versus Finland for Canada? The 3 choices, obviously, just being the 3 goalies that are with the team. So, Aiden Hill ran away with it, 75%. 20% of people believe it should be Binnington, and 4% say Sam Montembeault.
Okay. Well, a few Habs fans on the stream. Good to know. Welcome. Fans of the Montreal Canadiens. That does not feel too likely. Okay, buddy, what else we got for questions coming at us here on Ask Us Anything?
Okay, so first of all, hold on a second. We got coming from Dawson. So Dawson says, after 4 Nations instead of All-Star Weekend, Would you be okay with the NHL highlighting a new nation? So like his suggestion is you relegate one of the nations that doesn't do well and bring in a new nation. Obviously that would never happen. But what do you guys think about featuring a new nation or even just the other idea that's been thrown around on the chat, which is featuring a team that might be multiple nations for 4 nations? It could become more than that.
Well, I think they're already talking about a World Cup every second year. So we're going to get into this cadence every fourth year. So every 2 years, it's either going to be a World Cup or it's going to be an Olympics. And then I think on the off year, it ends up maybe then Struds, the NHL All-Star game is only an every other year thing. I don't know what their plan is with the All-Star game, but if I never have to cover another NHL All-Star game from a quality and interest standpoint, I would be fine with that.
Yeah, I think the All-Star game is meant for the city it's in. I truly feel that way. Like if it comes to Edmonton, I know that my kids and family love to go. But here's the reality about the World Cup is that so many stars are not there. So many stars. So how do you get them involved? That's the truth. Is Germany going to compete against Canada in a World Cup? Maybe to get Leon Draisaitl there? Maybe. Yeah, I guess. But there's not much drama there. We should understand the outcome. That's what's nice about these 4 teams are all pretty strong. But if you start getting 8 deep, 7, 8, are they as strong as 1 or close as 4 or 5 or 3 is 4?
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Yeah. And until Russia is back in, and I have no idea when that's going to happen. And listen, one of the things that I've sort of come to realize too, and doing a little bit more reading about this, and it's been reported out there, but people think it's just strictly like this political decision or this, and while the politics are definitely involved, I think the thing to understand is that if the IIHF were to allow Russia back in, it basically means that like Finland, the Czechs, like multiple other nations will not play. So it's not just as simple as when's the appropriate time to let Russia back in, whether they're under the Russian name or not. You've got other nations that'll go, yeah, if they're in, we're not. So it is much more sensitive than just kind of waiting for what feels like the right time. This is very real for some of the other nations that exist over in that region.
A couple comments about just the net front battling. So Boba Fett said, weird Canada rosters with small finesse skill, missing the net front hard ice guys like Hyman. Bizarre not to have Big Scheifele big skill at third center. And Gong Show chimed in and said, I don't see enough battling by Canada at the net front. Who can play the Hyman role for McDavid? They switched Crosby on the line with McDavid, and that looked better than Marner and Reinhart. What do you guys think of it? Is that missing right now?
Struds?
Yeah. I advocated for Scheifele. I like Scheifele as a player. Bigger body, good skater. So who do you take out, right? That's always the challenge. Maybe one of the younger guys comes out, Jarvis or, Konechny, one of these guys. But this is the team they have. So they got to sort this out in real time and try to figure out who is going to be the person coming in there and playing beside them. And Point and Crosby, they got to do it. But if they can't find chemistry for Connor McDavid during the game tomorrow, I believe it'll be highly, highly unlikely they'll be able to beat the USA on Thursday.
Yeah, I think that's all accurate. They got to find some combinations and give them a chance to click a little bit. And I think we'll be really watching for that tomorrow.
Okay. Ben Dofer, concerned for McDavid's health. He said, was anyone else nervous for McDavid's health last night? He took an absolute shellacking.
We never see him get hit like that, Struds. No. Like that almost never happens.
Yeah, so let's just break down the hits. So he stood him up, but you have to see how Connor was holding his leg, and he kind of slid down slow. So it looks huge, but those ones don't really hurt because you're able to kind of ride the guy's leg down and you land quite softly. So yeah, he took a couple of hits. But
I mean, even I agree in terms of, I wasn't worried that he was hurt, but even in terms of the timing and catching McDavid, he got caught last night in a couple of ways that we don't normally see for him. And I think part of it too is like he's all in, right? So a lot of those high skill guys, they know how valuable they are to the team. And sometimes they'll make a play with a puck that has some self-preservation in mind. Like they'll slip it to an area and avoid or this or that. Like McDavid was, he was making firm, hard plays on pucks and he was taking hits to make plays. And so, yeah, he got caught a couple of times, but I think part of that was from being all in the way he was all in.
I like that. Yeah, and it's a difference. The Game 7, so tomorrow you may see it again. I don't know that Finland has many hitters on the back end as, big physical guys like we saw from the Americans.
Obelisks wonders if it says Canada hugely missed Theodore and Makar. Getting pucks up to the forwards in stride was an issue last night. What do you think, Struds?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's true. But remember, they're also missing Pietrangelo, who is, arguably as important as those two guys too. So you put those three in there. They've all won cups. They all can skate. They all make plays. So, I know that Americans are missing Hughes, but those three guys are probably 3 of your top 5D if they're all healthy.
It's really showing. I mean, it's really showing. Like the United States, I know they're missing Hughes, but the United States has the bulk of their guys, and Canada is really beat up on the back end. And it is definitely really, really showing.
JB Dorian with some glass half full if USA Finland goes to the final, which is that McDavid, Ekholm, and Arvidsson all get 4 days rest before what he calls the Stanley Cup quest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sweden's going to get some
Struds.
rest. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that the final has a chance to be as intense as this last game? Like, I'm not saying it won't be intense, but to me, that was different. Like that was next level different. It had been so long. The buildup of the anthem. It was the U.S. anthem getting booed in Canada. This intensity. It shifts back over there now, so it'll be. We'll see what kind of welcome the Canadian team and the anthem gets there. But I'm not sure if it'll have the same charge to it that this last one did. Maybe I'm misreading it.
Well, if you take the fights out, do you think the game could be that intense in Boston if it's Canada USA?
Yeah.
I certainly believe it would be.
Similarly played. Yeah.
I think it'd be the exact same. And I think that the Americans will remember how we treated their anthem. And Boston isn't the friendliest of places. So I'm sure that they'll have a voice their displeasure. So, but it kind of adds a little animosity. Like, it's a good thing. That gets the juices flowing for everybody there.
Yeah.
Quaddy giving some love to Binnington says, I will say Binnington played the puck well. The U.S. was unable to have sustained zone time, and they sat back with the lead. What do you guys think about his puck movement?
Yeah, he plays it pretty well.
He does.
That's one of the things he can do, and that's important when you got a team that wants to pressure. So that's definitely important. I'm trying to recall how Hill's game is coming out to play the puck. I can't recall.
It's not as good.
Yeah, not as good as Binnington's.
Pretty
Right?
just stop, set it, and move. Right, get out of there.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they do. So I don't think it's anything. But
yeah,
I get it. But the trade-off, right, is those 1 or 2 goals. John Cooper's got a tough decision to make tomorrow. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he already knows what he's doing tonight.
Yeah. All right, one more, Steve-O, and then we got to get out of here. We're late.
Let's just end with Dawson Nielsen, who just said, Rishaug, just get in a vehicle and drive, my guy. It's only 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
That's a normal car ride, like from Edmonton to Banff. Did you guys consider that?
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but this is the problem. So, first of all, I guess from what I understand, the drive is pretty nasty, and there's some one-lane stuff, and the roads are in terrible shape. But never mind that. Our flight tomorrow morning didn't get canceled until almost 8 o'clock tonight. So, like, there's no rental places open. And for me to make a 1 o'clock game through a snowstorm, what time do I got to leave? It'll probably be a 7-hour drive in the weather, and no rental places are open. So we got badly pooched by a late flight cancellation tonight.
Right.
So even with the best intentions, we cannot make it. All right, that was Ask Us Anything, brought to you by BJ Electric Supplies. We close the show, as always, with our play of the day, brought to you by Gallery Dental, offering a full range of services designed to keep your smile healthy. Their experienced team providing personalized care with the latest technology to make sure you get the best treatment possible. Contact Gallery Dental, YEG.com. Struds, do you have one in mind, buddy? I've got one as well.
Go ahead, then.
Have one? Let's do
No,
both.
go ahead. If you're feeling it, take it away.
PWHL takeover in Edmonton, Toronto 3, Ottawa 2, and Daryl Watts in the first overtime from Hannah Miller and Renata Fast gives Toronto the win. So the PWHL takeover coming to our city today. We've got to ask. I wanted to see if anybody had made it to the game and how it was for anybody that was there. But ladies put on a fantastic game and a good show, and 3-2 win for Ottawa tonight in overtime. Struds.
Yeah, so good. That's a great thing. I love these takeover tours. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Honorable mention, bringing the graphic one more time, Steve-O, of the new show. Honorable mention to Zuby for his great work on the logoing here. And a reminder to everybody, Got Your Back Strudwick World will drop on Wednesday. First episode is set to go 12 o'clock Mountain Time. You got the graphic, Steve? You still have it?
There we go. Took me a while.
There she is. So a reminder, we will be live on YouTube and X, probably Twitch. And then it will drop into podcast form. So if you can't get to it till your drive home, we'll have it for you sitting there on your phone. If you subscribe, it'll be there on your phone for your drive home. And once again, it's going to be dropped on our Got Your Back NHL edition feed. And then we will convert that into the new Strudwick World show. So looking forward to that. Might still drop one more Got Your Back between now and then. We'll see how my schedule is, what the travel situation is, but we'll chat in the next couple of days. Okay, Struddy?
Sounds great, guys. Looking forward to it.
All right, pal. Yep. Good job tonight, Steve. Thanks, my friend.
Thanks, boys.
Stevie.
All right. And thanks to all of you for tuning in here live on YouTube and on X, or if you've downloaded us and you're listening in podcast form, hey, if you're on the stream, throw us a quick thumbs up on the way out the door. I keep forgetting to ask for those. That'll help us with our algorithm. Much appreciated. Thanks to our title sponsor, Play Alberta, and we'll chat with all of you again in, a reasonable amount of time. But enjoy the game. Let's see. Canada needs to win in regulation to control their own fate.